everybody, we're back with chapter 12, which is going to be computers and specimen handling and processing. So computers obviously are a big part of the lab now. When I started, I told you this, the lab that I worked for didn't have a computer system, and that was awful. We had to label everything by hand, fit it on that tiny label. It
has to be legible.
And I have horrible handwriting, folks. Anyway, so give me 1 second here. Sorry, guys. So yeah, it was really, really a pain in the butt when we didn't have a computer system, but now we do. Anyway, so we're gonna walk through some pretty basic terms for most of you guys, like keyboard.
Oh yeah.
Mouse. All that good stuff. So we'll get you through this, and hopefully we'll meet you guys soon. So here we go. Computer uses in healthcare. They manage data, they monitor patient vitals, and aid in diagnosis. Computer literacy. You want to know basic computer terminology, understand computer and its functions it performs, perform basic operations using computers, demonstrate willingness to adapt to change using changes the computers bring to our lives. Computer types, we have supercomputers, personal computers, handheld PCs, or PDAs. So here's some common computer terminology. You're going to have an accession number, which is a unique number generated when a test request is entered into the computer. We have a CPU, which is a central processing unit, a cursor, which is that little flashing light, indicator on the monitor, data, which is information collected for analysis or computation, hardware, it's equipment used to process data, icon is the image that signifies a computer application, ID code is a unique code used to identify a person for tracking, and input is data entered into the computer. Oh, and we're going to continue with our terms here. LIS is the Laboratory Information System. Logging in is entering a user on a system via password. Middleware is third-party vendor software. Mnemonic is a memory aiding code or abbreviation like BMP for Basic Metabolic Panel or CBC for Complete Blood Count. Online is when the computer is connected to system and is operational. Output is process information generated by the computer. Password is a secret word or phrase used to enter the system. Peripherals are all additional equipment attached to the CPU. RAM is random access memory. It's temporary storage data in the CPU. ROM is read-only memory. Software is coded instructions required to control hardware and processing of data. Storage is a place for keeping data outside the computer. It is also called secondary data. And to verify is to confirm or check for the correctness of the inputs. Computer networks, a group of computers linked for purpose of sharing resources, offers advantages for coordinating data, communicating more effectively or efficiently, sharing hardware and software. Individual computer stations are called nodes. Include simple interoffice connections between several organizations in different cities. So this is what's really cool. So like Lisa mentioned before, we work for Sutter. So most of you guys probably know that. We're in the Bay Area. Well, if somebody comes to my lab with an order from their doctor in the Bay Area and it's a Sutter doctor, we all share the same system.
So everything's there.
Exactly.
Makes it convenient.
So there's three basic components of a computer system. The input, the process, and the output. And another thing about computer, it makes sharing information so easy that confidentiality can be breached.
Yes.
Really easily. So we want to make sure, me and Lisa know this for a fact, when you're on a system, they are tracking every single click you do on the computer. If you go into a chart and you click 3 times for 2 seconds, they're going to know where you clicked and what you did for those 2 seconds.
So the gist of this is only get into a patient's chart for what you need.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
Absolutely.
You don't want to do anything else.
Okay, so computer components. To input, you have your keyboard, your light pen, you can have a light pen, touchscreen, scanners, mouse, glide pads, CD or DVD, or other external memory device. Process. CPU is the brain of the computer. It compares, calculates, and makes decisions. Output is the printer, the computer screen, or smartphones. The three elements that make up a computer system are hardware, software, and storage. Elements of a computer. Hardware defined is equipment used to process data. You can have a CPU, a keyboard, a monitor, a barcode reader, a scanner, a PDA, and handheld, a fax machine, a printer, a modem, or a router.
All this to draw blood.
Right. You know, you'd be surprised though. We use the computer a lot.
If our computers are down, we can't even draw blood.
Our computers did go down one time and worked together completely.
All day.
We looked at each other for 8 hours.
It was not a good sight.
Lisa went to the Dollar Tree.
I did. Had a good time too.
Anyway, okay, software is programming designed to operate computers, hardware in processing of data. There's two types. There's systems that are built-in, pre-installed basics that operate the computer, and applications, program designed to perform specific tasks required by users. Examples can be spreadsheets, communication systems, database systems, word processing, and graphics. So now we're going to move on to storage. We have RAM, which is a limited temporary storage, and we have ROM, which is an internal hard drive memory. We also have secondary storage, which can be external hard drives and USB drives, and also CDs and DVDs. Guys, I hope you're following along on the PowerPoints, because why not? We're in this together. So the lab information system. It's a customized software package designed to facilitate a variety of workflow models in the laboratory. The objectives are data management, security and quality control, interactive interface with instrumentation, information sharing with HIS and EMRs, interfaces with regional and national reference laboratories, which is really cool. Like, we have our reference laboratory is Quest. So if we send stuff to them, they can still put results. Our lab system talks to it, so they can give us their results. So the laboratory information system continued. We have a system manager that's responsible for training personnel and updating them on software changes, solving day-to-day problems that develop after the system is installed. We also have specific programs in LIS that allow the users to admit patients, request test orders, print labels, evaluate and enter results, and inquire about results and generate reports. So an ID code is a unique identifier. It's a combination of letters and numbers, allows access to certain system functions to each person, logged with every transaction, allowing system manager to identify users. I was going to say something about that. Anyway, I'll remember later.
Exactly.
Password is uniquely identifies the person, allowing him or her to become a system user. Must be kept strictly confidential. So I shouldn't tell you that Lisa's password is Melissa is cool.
And if you believe that, that's Lisa Mosher from property in Arizona.
Okay, so we have icon and mnemonic codes used to request appropriate program or function necessary to enter data. We also have barcodes, which are alternately spaced black bars and white spaces representing a code. They're used to identify patients, supply inventory, specimen identification, and pharmaceutical drug name, dose, and route. Require wireless handheld scanner. They have those at Memorial. I'm pretty sure they probably have them at other hospitals around here too.
I'm sure they do.
Boop, boop, scan their armband. Beep, beep. You know that's the patient. It spits out a label for you. Pretty cool. Here you have a computerized label. This is cool. I think this is the same thing as we had on a few slides ago. It tells you this is a lavender. It's going to hematology, and what test it is should be there too. Does it say the test here? Test patient.
No, it doesn't look like it tells you.
I bet it does. You guys are probably, you don't want to see that. Anyway, most of them say the test. Radio frequency ID. It's composed of a reader and a tag/label. A tag is applied to product or person to identify and track using radio waves. Wireless scanner can track more than one tag at a time, used to monitor patients, identify and track specimen, equipment, and records. So general laboratory computer skills. You don't need to be a whiz. I'm just kidding.
Says a lot.
You don't need to be a whiz. Lisa's not the most, neither am I. I'm not technological savvy. Somehow when I joined this group, I became the most technological savvy person. But you can get by. You need to know how to log on. You log on to Facebook. Instagram, same thing, username, password, okay? So logging on, the cursor movement, using icons, entering data, correcting errors, verifying data, and making order inquiries and canceling orders. This is all stuff you can do in the lab information system. This next slide is a computerized analyzer. It's a sophisticated computer system designed to manage patient data, interface with the lab information system, and the main hospital intranet. Unidirectional means it goes from the analyzer to the computer, or bidirectional, which means it can go in both directions. CIC is Connectivity Industry Consortium, established to ensure that any POC analyzer can talk to any lab information system, allows the workers to transfer point-of-care test results into the patient's chart. Guidelines for standardization developed by manufacturers, LIS vendors, and healthcare providers. Computerization and connectivity, decentralization and increased point-of-care testing, increased in remote lab testing facilities, networks, further development of microchip technology and point-of-care analyzers. So the three phases of the laboratory process are pre-analytical, which are actions occurring prior to specimen analysis, which are where most of the errors are made, is the pre-analytical phase. Analytical is actions taken during specimen analysis, and post-analytical, actions occurring after specimen analysis. So pre-analytical phase is defined as all the steps taken before the actual testing of the sample. It's estimated that 50 to 70% of all laboratory errors occur prior to analysis. Specimen handling is a critical part of this phase. So possible sources of pre-analytical error before collection could be a dehydrated patient, an incomplete requisition, medications, pregnancy, they smoked, they ate, strenuous exercise. These are all sources of pre-analytical error before collection. At the time of collection, sources of pre-analytical error, the biggest one is a misidentified patient that is totally avoidable. So identify your patient. You can also use incorrect needle size, incorrect tube, a faulty technique, failure to invert it. These are all stuff that can happen at the time of collection. During specimen transport, things that can go by is agitation-induced hemolysis, a delay in transportation, an exposure to light for ones that are supposed to be protected from light, and failure to follow temperature requirements. Some of them may have to be frozen, some of them room temperature. Always observe special handling. The next slide is going to be a pneumatic tube system. Most hospitals have these. That way you don't have to run from one tower all the way back to the lab. You can just put it in the little tube, put it in a code, and whoosh, bye-bye. Makes its way there. So during specimen processing, pre-analytical errors that can occur can be contamination, a delay in processing, failure to centrifuge a specimen according to the test requirements, incomplete centrifugation, a mislabeled aliquot, that's no good, and multiple centrifugations is not good. During specimen storage, things that can go wrong is a specimen that's not supposed to be exposed to light can be exposed to light, or you can have a temperature change that you're not supposed to. So specimen handling continuing, mixing tubes by inversion. Additive tubes require 3 to 10 gentle inversions. Transporting specimens, they should be stopper end up and should be placed in plastic bags with a biohazard logo. Delivery time limits. Routine blood specimens should arrive at the lab within 45 minutes. If centrifugation is required, it should occur within 1 hour of arrival. It is important to handle and transport blood specimens carefully and deliver them as quickly as possible to the laboratory for processing. A delay in separating the blood cells from the plasma or serum can result in metabolic changes in the sample. Rough handling and agitation can hemolyze specimens and activate platelets and affect coagulation tests, as well as break collection tubes. According to CLSI, tubes should be transported vertically with the stopper up to reduce agitation that can cause red cell damage and hemolysis. Tubes should also be transported stopper up to reduce the chance of causing accidental aerosol spray when the stopper is removed. Additionally, the upright position aids in clot formation in serum tubes and prevents the clot from sticking to the stopper. Blood specimen tubes should be placed and transported in labeled biohazard bags or containers that are clearly marked, liquid-tight enclosure with specimen collection paperwork. Automated transport system. All specimens transported through a pneumatic tube system or other type of automated transport system, including a robotic system, should always be considered biohazardous, follow strict protocols to prevent contamination, cross-contamination, and damage, and have plastic liners and padding/foam. Local courier or mobile phlebotomist. Transportation in leak-proof primary container must contain absorbent material in case of a spill, transported upright in a vertical rack. Specimens must be labeled, accompanied by paperwork, no direct exposure to sun or air vents, and temperature protected. Out-of-area transport. Let me see here. Out-of-area transport. Diagnostic specimens that are transported out of the area by public transportation are regulated by the DOT or the IATA, specific regulations for transportation of infectious diseases. The DOT or IATA define two categories of infectious substances. Category A is an infectious substance capable of causing permanent disability or life-threatening or fatal disease. Category B is an infectious substance not meeting the criteria for A above, which includes laboratory specimens transported for diagnostic purposes. Category B transportation requirements are triple packaging, must meet DOT requirements, watertight positive enclosure, packaged in absorbent material, shall not exceed 500 milliliters or 500 grams, transported with ice or on dry ice, special transport labeling/marking required, shipper and receiver address and contact information. Special handling. There are some specimens that have to be body temperature specimens. They should be collected in a pre-warmed tube, should be transported at or near body temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. Use portable heat blocks to maintain temperature during transport. Chilled specimens should be immersed in a slurry of crushed ice and water, should be tested immediately or refrigerated, and light-sensitive specimens should be wrapped in aluminum foil or use light-protectant amber-colored containers. Specimen processing is a central processing area in large labs. Here, specimens are identified, logged, sorted by department and types of processing required, and evaluated for suitability of testing. Centrifugation. A centrifuge is a machine that spins blood tubes at a high RPM. Centrifugal force separates cells and plasma or serum. Pre-centrifugation or tubes-awaited centrifugation. Stoppers should remain on to prevent inaccurate results and evaporation and contamination. Centrifuge operation. Tubes must be balanced. Equal-sized tubes with equal volumes of specimens must be placed opposite one another with the lid closed. Centrifuging plasma specimens. Plasma specimens may be centrifuged without delay. Centrifuging serum specimens. Serum specimens must be completely clotted before centrifugation. Complete clotting takes 30 to 60 minutes at room temperature. A specimen should never be centrifuged more than once. Post-centrifugation stopper removal. Some testing machines sample specimens directly through the stopper. Most require stopper removal. Stopper may be removed by a removal device or robotics. If removed manually, face shield or splash shield should be used. Gauze or tissue should cover stopper. Stopper should be pulled straight up and off. Centrifugation. Aliquot preparation. Aliquot is a portion of the specimen used for testing, used when multiple tests are ordered or tests are performed on different instruments. Prepared by transferring a portion of the specimen into aliquot tubes. So like Lisa showed you earlier, those tubes that were spun down, and she said this is the only part we use for testing, we would pour that off into an aliquot tube. That's what we mean by that. Specimen storage and reporting. Specimen storage, serum and plasma aliquots, gel tubes, body fluids, and biobanking. And reporting values, panic values, which we don't report, the CLS does. And that is your computer lesson.
And that was a lot to take in. So make for sure that you guys follow up with it and
go through your PowerPoints.
Go through the PowerPoints and do the tests on the back, okay?
Questions on the back of your chapter.
All right, sounds good, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.